Purchasing a new construction home can be very, very simple, but there are many ways where a builder can actually take advantage of you as a buyer. And we've all heard these horror stories of people receiving a subpar product. I'm trying to be political with it, but half the house is either falling over or the other half is crooked. So how do you navigate today's market to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of and you're getting a great product? That's what we're going over in today's video. So this is how the video is going to work out. We're going to look at things that you want to look for in a builder and things to avoid when it comes to a builder, and sprinkle through things to pay attention to when you're actually looking in the house, when you're actually doing the walkthroughs, when you're purchasing, the lending things, all that jazz. The first thing I'm going to recommend though is that you go with an agent whenever you go and look at new construction. The first time you go and take a look, and you're going to have a lot of pictures, walkthroughs, and everything like that to look through online to make you feel comfortable so you can go take a look at the model homes. But you want to go with your real estate agent the very first time, because builders want to make sure that they're getting as much money as possible. And if they're going to be saving on their advertising budget, I mean, that's them making money. And that's where I come into play as a real estate agent. I don't come in and affect the purchase price. I affect their marketing price. Okay. So when it comes down to it, people will say, hey, I'm not going to go with the real estate agent because I want to make sure that I'm saving money on the purchase. It's two separate things. The budget for using a real estate agent comes from the marketing side. It doesn't come from the actual home purchase. So it's two different things. Okay. So we have more negotiation power when it comes down to it, and we have more ability to save you because nothing is coming out of your pocket. So yes, use a real estate agent, whoever you trust. And if you trust me, you've seen all my videos, please reach out. My email is down below. Make sure to send me an email, send me a message on social media, whatever it may be. I want to help you guys out. Even if you already are through the process and you have a couple questions about things, go ahead and help me out. I know I'm not going to get paid. It doesn't matter. I want to make sure you're getting helped out. So what to look for in a builder is going to be like the first thing I just mentioned, is that they allow agents. Typically, if they don't allow agents, they're trying to hide something, or a lot of agents have essentially put a wrench in things and made sure that they're not able to take advantage of those clients. If they don't allow agents through their doors, it's kind of a red flag. It doesn't look good on the builder. It looks like they're just trying to either save money or make sure that nobody complains about things. And when it comes down to it, not all of their products are great. And there are some builders that are really great with the product that they produce, and 90% of the time it's great, but the 10% it's not as good, or the 1% time it's like absolutely terrible. That's why an agent's going to be really, really primary. I keep harping on this. I know this is the beginning of the video. I'm not trying to sell you guys on anything on using a real estate agent. It's just really, really important to me because I've had clients be burned, and I there's no way I could help because I wasn't representing them. There's no way I could fight for them. You want to look at the list of upgrades available to you when you're purchasing that specific model. A lot of builders have different packages available with the upgrades, and there are some builders that actually include everything with the sale of the homes. What you see is what you get, and there are some builders out there that nickel and dime you. If you want a specific outlet, guess what? That's a couple $100, and you have to do that in every single room. So that couple $100 here and there ends up being thousands of dollars down the line, where if you would have just gone with a different builder, it would have been much, much cheaper and less of a headache as well, because now you have to go through the list of items when you're going through your walkthrough and make sure that, hey, my outlet's supposed to be there. Why isn't it there? Oh, there was supposed to be an outlet there. I'm supposed to get a light up here. A lot of those times they just say, oh, oops, we forgot, and then bye. Like, that's not okay. So you want to look at more of a condensed list of upgrades when it comes down to it. If they have a bunch of upgrades, unless they're a custom builder, it doesn't really make sense. And yeah, it's kind of sketchy if they have a massive list of things that they're going to upcharge you on. You also want to take a look at some of the offers that they have available today. Some builders have their preferred lender tie in a rate buy down or some kind of closing cost benefit, some kind of incentive that goes along with their lending institution. So you can take advantage of maybe a 2-1 buy down or a permanent buy down. I know some builders out here in Santa Clarita are offering a 5.55% interest rate, which is not possible today in the open market. But with that builder, because it's their inside lender, it's their institution, they're able to provide that for you as a buyer. And sometimes it will do that in a way so that it looks like a credit. Now, there are lending guidelines when it comes down to these things. Like for the VA, for example, there's a certain percentage that a institution can give you, and there's a cap on that. And if they give you more than that, it's a penalty to them. So if they go over that number, it's a penalty. They can't do that. They physically cannot lend on it. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to that and they're knowledgeable of those things, because it's their companies, right? So they can actually manipulate a couple things to make it look like one thing or another. Again, that's where a real estate agent comes into play, and make sure that they make sense of all the things that are in front of you, because we do this every day. We understand that you aren't doing this every single day, and it's a lot easier for us to be able to break it down for you and make sure that you're protected in all angles. Back on those credits, you kind of want to pay attention to what those credits are. Is it a closing cost benefit? Is it a buy down benefit? Is it a 2-1 benefit? A lot of lending institutions that are within these builders, probably their own company, they're doing this thing called a 2-1 buy down. So they make it look like you're getting a very, very, very low interest rate, but it's only for the first year. And then the second year, it's a different rate. And in the third year, it's a different rate. So what it is a 2-1 buy down. It's almost like an adjustable rate mortgage, but not really. It's where they prepay the difference between whatever the interest rate is at maybe let's say 7.5%, and they're offering you a 5.5%. So let's say that difference is maybe $1,500. They're prepaying that $1,500 for the first year, and then in the next year your rate is a 6.5. Then they pay off the difference of that 750. I'm just making up numbers here, but they're paying off the difference beforehand. So you have that lower rate that first year, that medium rate that second year, and on that third year you're at the full rate. At that point, it's like you really didn't get a benefit. Back to what I was saying in regards to the upgrades, you want to make sure that there's not a long list. You really, really want to avoid a long list of upgrades, because then you have to go through that long list of upgrades to make sure that you got everything. And when they forgot to put in a specific thing, maybe a light or something electrical, or they added in a wall, it's a lot more detrimental for them to go back in and make those repairs, make those changes, because now the wall was there and now they got to take it out. So cosmetically, it's not going to be looking as great. It's not going to look natural because they didn't put it in there in the first place. So make sure you're paying attention to that, because those little mistakes happen quite often, and it's going to be in the back of your mind. You're going to think about it. You're going to see it every day. It's going to be your home, and you're going to resent that fact. Another major red flag is not having a secure timeline in regards to when the home is going to be completed. They're going to say, hey, maybe mid-November or maybe December. We're not sure. It depends on when we get supplies. That happened a lot during the pandemic, and I had a client that was purchasing a new construction home during the pandemic, and we were delayed by 4 months. And that was an absolute nightmare, because my client literally had nowhere to live. She was renting at the time, and she already told her landlord that she was moving out, and they're like, bye-bye, we already have a new tenant. We already have more rent coming in because of this tenant. They were also relocating from a different part of the state, so they didn't have family to go to. So you want to make sure that you have a builder that's very professional, they have great timelines, and somebody behind you that really knows what this builder is all about, because if they have a good reputation or if they have a bad reputation, you want to make sure you're paying attention to that. Aside from having a good agent behind you, you also want to have an inspector and someone who can look over the home warranty. So a home warranty rep is going to be able to look over the information and say, hey, yeah, you're good. You're covered in a lot of things. You have a year, you have 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. They can break down all the information. That should be free for them to be able to go over the contract that the builder is providing to make sure that you got a warm and fuzzy that everything is secure for you. And a home inspector is going to make sure it's going to be a third party. It's going to be someone that you're going to be paying out of pocket, yes, but it's going to be beneficial because they're not somebody that's basically tied in with that home builder, and they're going to rush you through the process, and they're like, okay, yeah, just get the blue tape and just tape whatever. And make sure you're recording that process, by the way, because a lot of times you find those blue tapes missing. So make sure that you're protecting yourself as much as possible. You can get a third party inspector. It's not going to be contingent on that inspection, but you can do call outs. You can actually reach out to the builder and say, hey, this was not correct. You want to make sure that you're executing on your warranty. That's why you have a good warranty rep, because they're going to be looking at all that information and making sure that you're protected and you're getting a good product, because you don't want to be living in the home and a year and a half, you find out that half the stucco's falling off. Maybe there's some brick and the brick was falling off. There's not many homes in California with brick, but you know what I'm saying? Like you want to make sure that you're as protected as possible. And keep in mind that all of these things that I'm mentioning are free, other than the inspector, of course. You have to pay for their services. But most of these things that I'm mentioning, it's free. So this next part here is going to be just kind of general advice that I would give to any of my clients if they're purchasing a home, whether it's resale or new construction. And the first thing is having a goal in mind. Is it going to be cash flow or equity? Those are the two main reasons behind purchasing a home. Now, for both of these, you're keeping in mind the end game. What are you ultimately trying to do with this property? Are you looking to rent it after living in it in a couple years, or are you going to be selling it in a couple years? So you want to look at your exit before you enter, if that makes any sense. So what does that look like? If for cash flow, are you going to purchase the property and in 5 years from now, you're going to be renting it out? Is that going to make sense? Are you way over on what the rent is going to be in a couple of years? If that's the case, then it probably doesn't make sense if ultimately your idea is to rent down the line. On the other hand, for equity growth, are you purchasing too much home for that area? So you want to look at, hey, what does the area look like? Is there other new construction coming into the area? Is the area growing? Is it something that's going to be expanding in infrastructure? Do I see a lot of potential in this area? If not, then it probably doesn't make sense unless you are a 10-year plus homeowner. If you're like in the 5 to 7 year range, you want to make sure that you have a plan in place. You want to make sure that you're purchasing something that's going to have that potential equity growth. You also want to compare the numbers. You want to make sure that you're shopping around for your loan. I have preferred lenders, but every time I do recommend somebody, I let my client know that don't use them just because I'm saying use them. Use them because it makes sense for you. So shop around, make sure you're paying attention to all the numbers and everything that comes along with it. Get recommendations from other homeowners, see what their experience is with their loan officer, and go from there. I know for my loan officers, I personally use them. So I wouldn't recommend somebody that I wouldn't use. I used them first, and then I recommended them. So that's the case for me, but it's not the case for every real estate agent. So make sure you're paying attention to that. I would recommend just talking to another homeowner and seeing what their experience was, if it was positive, if it was mellow, or if it was negative. All of this advice is just part of a bigger picture that I'm trying to build. I created a different video of all the incentives that are currently available for the builders out here in Santa Clarita specifically. Now, I am in the greater LA area. So if you're looking for a home in LA County or any of the neighboring counties, make sure to reach out to me. I have some videos of some new construction projects that are right here and some tips on how to purchase new construction, kind of the incentives. This is probably going to be the previous video that I created prior to this one. So make sure to subscribe. I have a lot of videos coming up soon.